Welcome to Learn, Lead, Go, the podcast dedicated to empowering you on your leadership journey. I'm your host, DeNeen Attard, CEO of Attard Leadership Academy, your go-to provider for leadership development and training. I hope you are enjoying our new series, Women Who Lead, as much as I am. This series explores leadership through the lens of entrepreneurship, where we'll explore what it takes to lead with purpose, influence, and success. You can expect nuggets from my new book, Women Who Lead, Navigating a Path of Influence and Success, as you gain insight from our guest CEO, leaders, and entrepreneurs. Joining us today is Tara Rowell, a strategic problem solver and leader with over 20 years of experience at the intersection of business and technology. Tara is channeling her expertise into cutting-edge fields like AI ethics, responsible AI, and data governance. She's on a mission to ensure that innovation and ethics go hand in hand, crafting the frameworks that will shape a responsible future for technology. Her deep passion for preserving the integrity of information in this rapidly growing, evolving digital landscape is truly inspiring. Tara, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be with you today.
When I heard you speak at WIT, I was simply amazed, and I thought to myself, this is a woman that I want to learn more about, and this is also a woman that I would love to interview for the Women Who Lead series. So I am excited to have you here, and I can't wait to dive in.
Oh, well, that is very kind of you. That was a really fun evening for me as well.
Tell our listeners about what it is that you currently specialize in. Where is your sweet spot?
Well, that's interesting because that night that we met, our panel was actually on leadership, which of course is perfectly up your alley, but it really isn't something that I kind of focused on, in a public sense. What I'm really working on now is artificial intelligence, how that's impacting our work, and really a lot of the ethical issues that come along with it. There's just volumes and volumes of ethical issues. And we, in the United States, continue to innovate and work on it and expand it. And that's, that's kind of how we do as Americans. We go full steam ahead, learning and putting things into practice. But there's a lot of, in other parts of the world, especially in Europe, they're super concerned about, well, wait, let's take a step back here and how is this going to impact our society and those types of things. So I found that intersection very interesting. I do have a technical background, so I understand, the technology behind it, but I'm finding that from a business perspective, really understanding the ethical side of it has just been really captivating me lately. The artificial intelligence is trained on data and information, and some of those really large models that you read about, OpenAI and some of the other ones, basically just scraped the internet and just we're a vortex of information just trying to. And can you imagine if we just assumed everything on the internet was correct?
Oh my goodness, that would be horrible.
And yet, that is kind of what has happened with a lot of the early and the foundation. Because where are we going to get this information? Well, we're going to grab it off of the internet. Oh, great. Not curated, not sorted, not anything. And so you can imagine the fallout potentially from that. The AI models will what they call hallucinate, which is they're trained to give you an answer. So if they maybe don't know the exact answer, they will give you something.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, there are some really good efforts from organizations in curating what goes into their models.
This is so fascinating, and of course I could spend our time together talking solely on that. However, I want to pivot.
Okay.
There's something I want to talk to you about. You mentioned earlier that said, leadership, when we connected, that leadership wasn't necessarily the main focus, but I know in order to achieve the things that you have achieved, that self-leadership has been an important part of your journey. Can you share a moment where you realized the importance of self-leadership, and how did it shape your approach to running your business or operating in the workforce?
Yes. Hindsight is 2020, well, or mostly 2020 anyway, and I can look back and I understand now how impactful this was much better than I did sort of kind of right after it happened. But years ago, before I was kind of formally into technology, I was doing a lot of self-learning. I'm self-taught. Most of my web principles were literally just self-taught, things I wanted to know. While I was home with the kids, I had that computer there calling my name, and I just, would take it apart. I would see what I could program with it, and I just really had a good time with it. Well, what I realized is, so the foundation idea of this was having an idea of what you want to do is often very different from the reality of doing it. So if you have a curious nature and an entrepreneurial spirit, you tend to have a lot of ideas of things that might interest you. You might want, oh, wow, I could do this or I could do that. And it sounds really great until you actually start to execute on it, even if you're technically successful. So what happened was I decided at that time when I was really going through learning principles, I was also very interested in and enjoyed home parties. So, the girls get together and have parties about whatever, china or makeup or baskets or cookware, whatever it was. I was having a really good time doing that because it was social and there were other moms, available. And I thought, hey, I bet I could make a website and I could have a community and bring these people together online, which now we're talking about late 90s, early 2000s. So there was not a lot of maturity in all of this. And I thought, I bet I could make a website that was for work-at-home moms, because I knew there were a couple in the marketplace. I'm like, I could do that. I'm going to use my skills and put them into practice and make this thing. Well, I did, and to my surprise and delight, it was number one on Yahoo search results. I worked on that thing. I got it. But there was no real way to make money with that. And if I had stopped and said, what's my purpose of doing that? One of my purposes would have been if I had sat down and really written it out, I would have written, I would like to create another income stream for my family through an effort that I enjoy. Well, I did enjoy the effort, and I did learn a lot, but there was no income stream even if I was number one, because I did, there was lots of failures along from that perspective. And what I really came away from that was, yes, if my goal was to expand my own education and experience, then I met it. But if the goal was to provide additional income stream for my family, I definitely didn't. So planning and kind of being audible about what you're trying to do, even if you are very excited about something, make sure that you are all in on your goals.
You mentioned two things that really stood out to me, because what I hear is creativity, resilience, you're finding your purpose, and then something that I talk about in Women Who Lead, Navigating a Path of Influence and Success, is being able to pivot when circumstances change, which I think is very important in self-leadership and when you're leading a team. If you were to give advice to a new and emerging leader that's just starting off, what would be the one thing that you would say to focus on?
I would say to, have a plan, but there's some phrase about having a strong opinion loosely held. And basically what I would mean by that would be, yes, make a plan and have a good idea of what you want to do, but be very, very open to listening to people who have gone down the path before you or might have a cautionary tale, and use your ears more than your mouth when you're in a leadership position.
That's key. I have learned so much throughout my career by just sitting in rooms and listening. Because I value what other individuals have to say, and I'm not the type of person that has to hear my voice all of the time, meaning that I want to take in and observe and then formulate my opinions and then stretch my imagination and my idea of what I believe to be true by listening to the insight of others. And I think you're correct as a new and emerging leader, as any type of leader. Be prepared to listen. Don't always think that you have to come to the table and regurgitate all of this information in order for people to see you as a leader. I think
I think that's so true. Yes, yes.
But it's difficult because you know what? The common thing that has to happen, confidence. And new and emerging leaders and some, seasoned leaders, confidence can be a challenge, especially when you're making decisions. What would you say helps you to cultivate clarity and confidence in the decisions that you make?
I do continually work on this myself, and 100% transparency, because I think it's a skill not only when you were talking about new and emerging leaders, I think it is even maybe sometimes even harder for seasoned leadership to not hear their voice in a conversation. It's just because over time, this is sort of my own experience as an extrovert myself. And as someone who had roots in like entertainment and talking, like I'm not shy. Like if somebody said, look, we just need a reason for everybody to get together. Can you just talk about something? I'd be like, sure. I don't. What do you want to talk about? I mean, you tell me and I'll stand up there and talk if you want me to. So to me that's sort of natural. But what I realize in a leadership position, and especially in business, that it's important to have the ability to exude confidence, but that doesn't always have to come because you're talking. Just bringing questions. So have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Or just bringing an experience that maybe you have had that says, a cautionary tale. I think I've used that before because that resonates with me, to listen to others in their own experiences. And I just think that it's something that you kind of have to cultivate, because especially I know from my own experience when I was younger, I felt, say if I was new to a principle or new to a role, I felt like I had to, I don't want to say pretend to be an expert, but that fake it till you make it kind of thing was harder for me to deal with as a younger person. Instead of just saying, I need to find out about that, I'll get back to you. Or saying, that's something that I need to learn about to be more successful in my role. I will go do that to provide value for this organization or to provide value in my leadership for this company. And just that real authentic truth about what you know and what you don't is actually quite stabilizing, I think, for other people around you.
You just touched on something that I say so frequently, is that it is so freeing to say, you know what, that is a great question. I don't have enough information to articulate what that means, but given me the time, I will go and research and come back to you. Can we schedule a time where we can further explore this? Number one, you're gaining respect, because honestly, let's be clear. People know when you're faking it. I don't care how good you are. People really know, especially if they're asking you a question that they have insight on. They're thinking to themselves, she or he, they have no idea what they're talking about. So you're losing credibility. Yes. Just be transparent and say, great question. I don't have the answer right now, but I am more than willing to go do the research. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to shift a little bit, because I recall when we were at the Women in Research panel discussion, you shared that you were a mother of 8, which leads us into this question. Entrepreneurship and being in the workforce is challenging enough. How in the world do you balance between work and personal life and fit in time for self-care?
Okay. Oh my goodness, what a question. I'm still not very good at it. And as a mother, and probably because of the extended period of time that I've had young ones in my house, I have trained myself out of putting me first. Like that just, almost doesn't happen because I still have some children at home, and so their needs do come first. And I enter the workforce originally for my family, and because I was, of course, interested in everything I've ever, all the principles that I've ever studied. But first and foremost, I was always their mom. And the things I do, I try to make sure that they benefit my family, and that I truly don't want to spend time on things that take me away from the family if they're not beneficial to the family or beneficial to me personally and enjoyable to me. And so I would say that is such a balancing act. I feel like I'm what are those things in the playground? Is it the teeter-totter where you sit on one side and then you swing up to the other? And okay, I feel like sometimes that's like I'm on that. And sometimes I'm just stuck on the ground for a really long time because I'm the heaviest person on that machine. And then once in a while, I will come across things like, these networking events and these things in town that I have sort of really tried to start and be a part of, looking for mentorship opportunities and those kind of things that sort of raise me up and get me into a different kind of headspace about talking to other people, giving back what I know, and kind of turning that tide. I mean, I would like to tell you that I go every 2 weeks to the salon and have this beautiful, mani-pedi routine. But that, to me, that's not happening. But my mental self-care is, I'm working on that much better than I used to, about like getting out at those types of events, like where we met, and the local meetup at the LinkedIn local group, and just, knowing the other people in my community. It's really helped me personally to get more connected. Volunteer work is really good for the soul, and I'm trying to, fix that gap in my own life.
What I heard was something that I have always thought to be true and I intentionally use work-life balance, because I truly don't believe that there is any balance. If you are living and operating and functioning in this society, there are going to be ebbs and flows in your life to where you realize, okay, this is going to have to go on the back burner for a little bit, and then you can sneak in opportunities to say, and for you, that's getting out and connecting with the community. And I think it's important that we realize work-life, in quotations, balance, does not look the same for everyone. Yours is different from mine. Mine is different from the next person, and so on. And that is okay.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
I can't believe our time has winded down so quickly. Enjoyed our time together. But
I know.
Before we stop, please share with our listeners where they can connect with you. How would you like for them to reach out and learn more about you and what you do?
I have tried to put everything about me from a business sense on LinkedIn, Tara Rowell on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to connect with your listeners. But I'd be happy to connect with your listeners there. And then hopefully, if for those who are local to the Tampa area, maybe we can see each other at some local events.
Listeners, you've heard it, and I will be placing her information in the comment section, so you will have a link directly to her LinkedIn profile. Tara, this has been a great experience. I've learned some things about AI, and the opportunity just to chat and get to know you better has been a great experience, and I am certain that our listeners will take away many nuggets as well. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I appreciate you asking me on. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Learn, Lead, Go. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want more insights, don't forget to subscribe. We've got more incredible conversations lined up, all aimed at helping you lead with influence and success. And remember, my book, Women Who Lead, Navigating a Path of Influence and Success, is available on Amazon as a resource to deepen your leadership journey. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and passion.